What's up guys, Jack Sputnik here, and today we are going to talk about whole truth about switching camera systems. So I found myself searching recently for a second camera. We do have two cameras, two Sony cameras to be clear. We are Sony shooters kind of, though I don't like this kind of expressions because we shoot the camera we have. But we use Sony, and I found myself searching in internet for maybe some second good camera to do specifically video, like specialized camera. I was thinking about Blackmagic pocket cameras or maybe Panasonic S1. I came across this big news that everybody knows about in photography world, and this is Canon R5. 45 megapixel, 8K recording, specs are just killer. But is it really worth to switch? And this is a very important question. And to answer this question, we did some math, we did some calculation, and we are going to talk again a little bit about money. So to introduce, in 2015 I was really tired with shooting with Canon 5D Mark III, and however this camera was just awesome, I loved it, and we took a lot of good pictures all around the world with Canon 5D, but dynamic range and shadows. If you wanted to rise ISO and just recover shadows, you had tons of horrible noise there. And all Canon users out there that have been using Canons for years, they totally know what I'm talking about, okay? So I was tired with that, and then Sony came up with this Sony a7 I that I have until today, and it still works perfectly, though I don't use it too much, but I have it because I love it, I'm sentimental about it. And I switched, and that was so awesome. It wasn't by far flawless camera. It was it had a lot of problems, and it was clear that Sony just started with this idea of mirrorless cameras, but that was spot on. Everybody needed a professional, small, lightweight camera, and I loved it. And finally I had no problems with shadows, and until today it's performing very, very well when it comes to photos. But what's the main point here? The main point is that switching from Canon system to Sony system was a real pain. A lot of money, a lot of shipping back and forth, a lot of selling of all equipment, a lot of buying cameras, converters, and all this stuff that you don't think when you make a decision of the switch. So today I want to talk about the facts. So I did some math, as I said, and now we own six lenses, 6 Sony original lenses. And in total, we spent around $5,000 on building this system. Well, we spent more because we have 2 bodies, but if you want to build a system on 1 camera body only, it's $2,000 for the body and $3,000 for the lenses. So in total, it's $5,000. And you may say, whoa, 5,000 with that many lenses, it's not a lot. And the main reason here is that Sony is a big and we can say mature system. If you need a bright 35mm lens and you don't need the best lens on this planet, you can have 35mm 1.4 by Samyang or Rokinon. That's pretty much, I think, the same thing, and then the autofocus works flawlessly. It works great, and it's super cheap. You can also have 28mm f.2, which is very cheap, or you have this cheaper version of 85mm, not 1.4 but 1.8. So you have variety of choices there. But all those systems like Canon EOS R or Nikon Z or Panasonic S1, they are relatively new to the market, and the choice of lenses is just not that great. So, $5,000 on Sony system. If we want to build the same system on Canon right now, we would spend, according to our calculations, $9,000. So, the math is simple, it's $4,000 difference. And if you think it's worth it, that's okay. But guys, I know, for example, Panasonic SH1 is approved by Netflix, and you can shoot Netflix movies on it. But please raise hands there if you are shooting for Netflix right now. So how many hands I see up? One. Oh no. No, you're not shooting for that place. All right. For most of us, photographers, videographers, if you're shooting for stock, if you're shooting videos for weddings or for like corporate videos, you don't need that crazy specs. And this 4,000 can be invested really like better if you buy lights, if you buy extra microphones, if you invest in your education and motorized sliders and all this stuff that makes like for like really good videos and really good photos. And that's, in my personal humble opinion, way better invested money. But even if you want to invest in those brand new super fancy systems like Canon EOS R, still we didn't find equivalents for all the lenses we own for Sony system. And I'm not saying that Sony is just the best camera out there, because like all the Sony shooters will tell you the same. We are waiting for something new, with at least 10-bit recording, with better resolution, and so on and so on. But still, those cameras are just great and they do the job. And I'm not like, supporting Sony here, but I'm talking about a very important thing. Before you make the decision to switch to another system, think twice. Think about the lenses, think about batteries, think about converters, think about filters and different thread sizes. These are all things you have to consider, and think about pain of selling old stuff and buying new stuff. So this is it, guys. What do you think? Is it worth to switch, or would you switch from one system to another system? Or would you say that Sony system is still the best? I'm really curious what are your opinions, so please don't forget to leave comments below. Don't forget also to subscribe, because we will be like creating more content like that. This is Jack Sputnik from Jackson Photography, and see you in next episode.